I promised. Let me lighten this up. I promised I'd piss you off today.
Oh no.
Let me share a screen with you. You said math is the only real science.
Oh no.
Oregon Department is promoting a training program that will offer a toolkit to help teachers develop an anti-racist math practice because math is racist. Math perpetuates white supremacy. And so I said, okay, you complain about Twitter quotes being news. So I said, let me look at some things. Oh, let me get to my tabs.
All right. While you're doing that, here's.
Oh no,
This is why I say.
these are scholarly articles on
Oh
dismantling
gosh.
racism in mathematics, mathematics instruction, mathematics teaching. Science has been hijacked, my friends.
So this is why, and on purpose, you kind of teased this earlier when you talked about you said something about how the people that know better are the ones hijacking it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, because
it's
okay, let me further this point before it leaves my flaky mind. We brought up dependency earlier. If you create a generation of people who can't do math, who can't science right, you create a generation of people who are dependent on those who can, and guess who's going to select who can? The elites.
And this is why I say it's not the only real science, but it's the purest science, and the farther you go away from that, the less pure it becomes, because it is wholly objective. What the heck does? All right, I've got two cough drops here, or I've got a cough drop in this hand and a cough drop in this hand. How many cough drops do I have? That's math. There's no subjectivity here. It's this one and it's this one. I have two.
Hey, but if you have a hen and you have a rooster and you put them together, then you have a hen, a rooster, and an egg. So 1 + 1 = 3. Or if 2.4 plus 2.4 rounds down to 2 + 2, but they equal 4.8, rounds up to 5. 2 + 2 = 5. These, for those in the audience that think I'm just spouting stupid shit, this is real debate right now. And frankly, if the first one was what they mean by decolonizing math, we're getting canceled for this statement. No wonder the colonials won.
Well, okay, well, let's go all in. And no, that actually is a good point. It's kind of a harsh point because they won through some pretty brutal and terrible things.
Yeah.
But think about where Western civilization was compared to the places they were colonizing. Why? Because Western civilization had a long tradition of scientific inquiry, of fact-based, objective-based scientific inquiry that built off of what came before it, so that you can trace from those early industrial revolution, that started to happen around the time water wheels started to be introduced in large scale for manufacture in the 1700s, even before the steam powered revolution of the 1800s. But you can trace that all the way back to the Greeks, if not earlier. You get Archimedes was like, he was Bronze Age. How Archimedes was like 300 BC, 200 BC, something like that. And those principles follow all the way through into modern science that created a power that was unrivaled across the world, and that the rest of the world soon started to try and emulate. So what happens when you start to destroy the most basic fundamental aspects of scientific inquiry? 1 + 1 = 2. No, it doesn't. Okay, well, you've just destroyed everything. You've just destroyed the whole system, and we have to start all over.
Well, and again, if you go through this new way, quote unquote, new way of learning, eventually you're going to get to the other end, and reality always wins. And so you're going to have no skills that uh, are viable in the real world. And when that happens, you end up dependent. And so the people on the top, the people who are perpetuating this, are they're relying on that, because the more dependent you are, the more powerful they are. And one of the things the postmodernists believe, as we go back to that, is power. Power determines everything. Power determines truth. You hear a lot now. Listen for repeated words. When you're watching the news now, everybody out there, when you're watching the news, listen for the repeated words, because across networks, you can even look up the compilations where they're saying the exact same words. And one of the statements that's going around a lot is speak truth to power. Speak truth to power. That alternative news site, that's lying, that's misinformation. Speak truth to power. No, they're speaking their statements to truth. So it becomes your truth, your reality. And when your reality doesn't match real reality, they have the power.
You've triggered a lot of ranting here. And so something else that just popped into my head is something that has been driving me crazy for a long time is when I see people posting these dumb memes about how they need to teach life skills in high school. Why didn't anyone teach me how to balance it?
Why is algebra always sacrificed? If you understood algebra, you'd be able to handle all the data sets that I bring forward and put in front of you. Algebra is one of the most useful skills anybody can learn. It is logic and math. You get one side of the equation, you get the other side of the equation, and you make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't know the fancy trick, you can always work it out in algebra.
So you're saying exactly what I was about to explain here. Our parents and grandparents were never taught a class of how to balance a checkbook or change a tire or all this other crap you see on these dumb memes. And they figured it out. Why? Because they were taught how to think, not what to think. What the postmodernists, what you're talking about with the postmodernists is they want to teach you what to think. The education system used to be teaching you how to think. So you learn
back to the cabal. It's not just in school.
You learn for the sake of learning. You learn for the sake of learning so that you can teach yourself. Oh, good gracious.
They're starting early.